When someone leaves the house, slamming the door from the blow, the door got jammed, and when another tries to open it from within, she has to make such an effort that the body is pushed backwards by its own energy, by the blow. And by the time the door is open, the other has gone long ago, not knowing in which direction. It's better to close the door again. Stay in the room, lay down on the couch, close the eyes, concentrate, relax the body. And through the white noise of the street, one can create a way to travel out, remaining laying down.
Upton Sinclair published Mental Radio in 1961, a book that collects several experiments in telepathy he performed with his wife, Mary Craig. In the book, he constantly clarifies that even though him and his wife were very united, they were two, they were one. What was happening was telepathy. Like when one sleeps consecutive days with another person and creates an orchestra that keeps time. One breathes, the other also, trying to exhale when the other inhales, and vice versa, breathing the air that the other has left, recycling the air of the room between the two. But then, a third one is added to the orchestra, and there is no longer the one that exhales and the other that inhales. But now, the hybrid air that has passed through the two is forming as a third in the room. The book tells the couple's experiments, but most of the stories take place in their home, or rather, in their living room, on her couch, where Mary Craig is always laying down. And one imagines, with strong smell, no wood but lack of ventilation, curtains drawn, dust between the sunbeams, dark green sofa, velvetly crochet pillows. Or concrete floor or constant laundry scent, without clothes but synthetic scent, aluminium frame windows, LED light system, white couch, polyester, scattered puffs. The narrative is divided between two spaces, Upton's and Mary's. Two spaces connected through Mary's telepathy. One space is constant, the other varies, between A and B, A and C, A and D, etc. They do experiments. 1. He draws on a paper in his studio behind closed doors. She's on the sofa at home, laying down with her eyes closed, guessing what her husband has drawn in the adjacent room. 2. At work, he asks his secretary to draw on a paper. She's on the sofa at home, laying down with her eyes closed, guessing what her husband's secretary has drawn on the paper. 3. He goes out to play tennis with his friends. She's on the sofa at home, laying down with her eyes closed, guessing where her husband has spent the afternoon, and describes the landscape where he has been. 4. He receives a red Italian dictionary in his office. She's on the sofa at home, laying down with her eyes closed, dreaming of a red book. 5. He reads a book in his studio. She's on the sofa at home, laying down with her eyes closed, mentally writing the synopsis of the book. Always from the sofa, constant architecture, interior quiet, laying down, alone in privacy, quiet, laying down with migraine. She dies and he publishes the book. For Mary Craig, communication doesn't reach public spaces. Waste thoughts are kept indoors. And it's not a language that speaks, but the mission's the one releases. The body is the only architecture. The thorax is not the room for speech, with no need for bodies around, no saliva, no skin. I'm focusing on the scar on your hand that pumps the blood so it can be affected. The scar on your hand that can be touched as it unifies your blood and your hand. The scar on your hand is the connection between touching and pumping blood. The scar on your hand is the junction that can be affected for those things yet to be said. Cracking the skin, licking blood and infections, to create a new entrance, cracking without tongues. Cracking the skin, licking blood and infections, to create a new entrance, cracking without tongues. And my brain emits some frequencies and they travel real fast. I'm an island, they go faster, broadcasting through the waves. And they are so I am, we are, getting through your scar, deep into your skin. Your blood feels nasty, no offense to toxic too many weekends. And now we pass by the elbow, shoulder, your long neck, jaw, big lips that don't want to talk. And it said, you shut up. Cracking the skin, licking blood and infections, to create a new entrance, cracking without tongues. But now I'm behind your eyes, and behind them I get to you, and on my way back I found so many things. The sky is shutting down because it gets burned out too. Race has a color and it's red. People have red cards in the suburbs too. Rabbit blood stops the communication. You got a nasty blood, man. The girl is a stalker, but there ain't any proof out there. But by spending so long lying in bed, my head is full of blood, and my mouth won't pronounce anything. My brain goes full on soliloquy, too emotionally sad. Slow down the motion and go back to the blood beat. Cracking the skin, licking blood and infections, to create a new entrance, cracking without tongues. Cracking the skin, licking blood and infections, to create a new entrance, cracking without tongues. Assemblies don't find new locations. No more shared places to talk. And as my brain cannot produce enough frequencies, it's the blood that speaks, because it can splash and lick. And when it's licking too much and stains the objects I have around, then they start to speak too. Now contaminated, spreading the crisis disease. Without fixed language, nor pronunciation, because those are the ones talking now. So now it's not me. Now it's the waves, babes. Still not me, just the waves of my computer.
Now I speak. I speak.
In Praise of Folly was written by Erasmus of Rotterdam in 1511, in first person, as if the fool was the one writing it, talking, in feminine.
I speak. He writes. She speaks.
Always without obsession, gendering illness. Erasmus speaks from first and third person, from her, but him, only one or two. Folly proceeds with her soliloquy, like a child disengaging the someone, disengaging the we, by using the sweet I. And by its act, she is individuated. But she, Folly, is in the mouth of Erasmus, of him, posing as her. And Erasmus won't take any responsibility of what gets said. is the folly who affirms everything. So she's the fool, and the one being fooled. And in that play of fooling the subjects and imposing an elusive but present speaker, Erasmus understands language as a tool to create a new space, a third element, as the hybrid air, as the space in between that has passed through the two lovers while they were sleeping, a third trans object that floats between spaces, between the eyes. Folly emerges with words. 1. Folly from Stustithia's mouth becomes very hairs, very crazy. 2. Folly's wisdom of life, resignation, and benevolent judgment, and very hairs. 3. Folly is created with her own speech, and loves to have an audience. 4. Folly is becoming while she talks. She's always working so hard. 5. Folly writes her monologue while reciting it in front of a supposed public, in the common language. Always in the common language. Erasmus began to write in Latin from a very early age, renouncing his mother tongue. He was a stranger in his country. He was a stranger in his own language. He exiled. Rooting the land, the tongue, by staying on the sofa, a mobile and wheeled sofa, although it doesn't have to move geographically, by writing for a supposed public that is not even present, to be constitute when it appears, and to fade out when it disappears. Follies are empty bags, bags like balls that swell with pleasure, speaker ribcage drained to be filled up, mobile transportable bags, not so stable, leakable racks, hard to condemn, elusive forever. Full serve follies are empty bags, bags like balls that swell with pleasure, speaker ribcage drained to be filled up, mobile transportable bags, not so stable, leakable racks, hard to condemn, elusive forever. Fools are follies are empty bags, bags like balls that swell with pleasure. Forget about the region, something to fit in a back ball, balsa, 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 hanging from the belt, region, something to fit in a back ball, balsa, 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 back ball, balsa. Hanging from the belt, region. Something to fit in a back ball, balsa, 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 back ball, balsa. Falling, you, falling the fools, falling around, falling down, falling deep down, falling the floor, falling you, falling the fools, falling around, falling, fools, falling, the fools, falling, follies, falling, follies, falling you, falling around, filling the fools, falling, 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 falling down, falling deep down, falling down, falling deep down, fools, falling you, falling the fools, voice falling, 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 voice falling, falling, voice falling, falling, falling. Red, rabbit, rage, revenge, rapping, rage, reckless, crazy, crazy, red. Red, rabbit, rage, revenge, rapping, rage, reckless, crazy, crazy, red. Red, rabbit, rage, revenge, rapping, rage, reckless, crazy, crazy, red. Red, rabbit, rage, revenge, rapping, rage, reckless, crazy, crazy, red. Red, rabbit, rage, revenge, rapping, rage, reckless, crazy, crazy, red. Red, rabbit, rage, revenge, rapping, rage, reckless, crazy, crazy, red. Rabbit, rage, revenge, rapping, rage, reckless, crazy, crazy, red. Red, rabbit, rage, revenge, rapping, rage, reckless, crazy, crazy, red. Red, rabbit, rage, revenge, rapping, rage, reckless, crazy, crazy, red. So the last part is dedicated, well, not really dedicated, but somehow related, to Neuralink, a company that has started to investigate consensual telepathy since last spring. Consensual telepathy is presented by the company as a new form of communication for the future, where the communication won't pass through intermediate processes, but will happen directly from brain to brain. Without written nor oral language, without linguistics. And by that process, the third elements, the air that passes through both, the language, the bonding, the tongues, the written, the tongues, the hybrid air, the two, the third, are now eliminated by the one-to-one. And the new subjects won't be constituted by common language, but by connected eyes. One is wandering around suppressing the territory by equally being nowhere. 2. One is sending electromagnetic signs containing self-interpreted images. 3. One decides to not use language anymore and starts to send frequencies to itself that can only be interpreted as data. 4. One cannot really be sure of being that one because it has never tried to identify itself with others. 5. One is every day more sure about its condition of one eye. Decoding, sell your company thoughts to the private sector tax-free. Become stable 24/7 sofa, language data transfers lossy for the Harry Potter fascism. Wizard hats help upgrade speech and typing all of data rate. I don't need eye contact, I will work from everywhere and nowhere for the fascist generator of the global database. in my compression algorithm. With my tongue and my thumbs, there are still some roots yet to eliminate. But for fastest business, quantify my thoughts, mind controlling pretty invasively. Silent speech communications, isolation processes, stay at home, don't find locations. The gada means low numbers, one in a room quantifies the best. Speaking in tongues, los solale all alone, lying on the sofa, waiting for the shut up, it's set. Jumping from bed to bed, shut up, it's set. Ay 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 ay. Stay in the sofa. Shut up, it's set. Mobile beds belong nowhere. Tip can be folded and piled. Therefore the brooded so no care. Nobody smiled. Mobile beds belong nowhere. Tip can be folded and piled. There are things for fools to get sucked into and become mild. Mobile beds belong nowhere. Tip can be folded and piled. To click and send frequencies with the terror of the exiled. Speaking in tongues, the solale all alone. Lying on the sofa, waiting for the shut up is set. Jumping from bed to bed, shut up is set. Stay on the sofa, shut up is set. Stay on the sofa. Shut up. It's set.